Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I am Adebola Adedugba. The headlines. House minority leaders disown 60 reps calling for PDP's chairman resignation. Hundreds of Kenya doctors join protests in support of strike. 50 Al-Shabaab militants killed in Somali air raid. Details shortly. The minority leaders of the House of Representatives, drawn from all opposition parties, have disowned 60 lawmakers who on Monday called for resignation of the People's Democratic Party's acting national chairman, Umar Damagum, for alleged anti-party activities. Recall that 60 parliamentarians under the auspices of the Coalition of Opposition Lawmakers on Monday in Abuja threatens to quit the PDP if Damagum does not leave office, to pave the way for the appointment of a new acting chairman from the North Central, the zone of the suspended national chairman of the party, Senator Yochia Ayo. Reacting via a statement issued and co-signed on Tuesday by the minority leader and leader of the caucus, the lawmakers described the Ikenga Ugochinyere-led coalition as a body unknown to the parliament. Nigeria's federal government has relaunched its citizens' delivery tracker, expected to track the performance of cabinet ministers and permanent secretaries in their efforts to help government achieve its promises to citizens across 8 priority areas. The tracker, which was upgraded by the Central Delivery Coordinating Unit of the President, is expected to help government fulfill its promise of good governance to citizens. Amadine Oyi has details.
The relaunch of the tracker marked an important event by the Central Coordinating Unit of the federal government. The special advisor to the President and head of the Central Coordinating Unit says that the parameters used meet global best standards in the assessment of the performance of key government officials.
We are adopting international best practices, utilizing globally recognized performance indicators and benchmarks to assess performance of MDAs in the implementation of government priorities on programs, projects, and policies.
Others say the tracker will afford citizens an opportunity to view priority programs of government and hold officials accountable.
The delivery tracker is an application which affords citizens the opportunity to view priority programs and projects of the federal government on their devices. We upgraded this application through consultation with a wide spectrum of stakeholders, and it is now ready for use.
It's a valuable tool for holding ministries, departments and agencies accountable. And I absolutely commend the government for following through with its recommendation at the last ministerial retreat to integrate citizens' feedback into the system. I think that's a fantastic thing to have done, absolutely critical.
We have a citizen delivery tracker that today we are reviewing and upgrading, just like you constantly upgrade your operating systems in both your phones and your computers. This is what is happening today. We are actually upgrading that to make sure that it captures the real essence and the realities of today.
It is my hope that Nigerians for whom it was created will utilize this app to its fullest potential and contribute to improving public service delivery across all the priority sectors.
Citizens have been tasked to engage with the tracker and be more involved in governance so as to hold government more accountable to its promises. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
And to unpack this, I'm joined live on the news by National Coordinator, Middle Belt Patriot Zadeye Yusuf. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, let me start by your impression. First, by your impression of this relaunch of tracker to help monitor activities or performances for ministers in Nigeria.
Well, I think there are I believe certain issues that should not even be on the table at the moment. There are certain issues that are so irrelevant. You know, to a large extent, there are some of us that are believed to be pessimists. You know, they do not see anything good coming and all of that. But I'm thinking being realistic or rather looking at it from a realistic point of view, looking at it from, the grassroots, looking at it from the perspective of the masses. Basically, you would want to first of all ask, on what platform are you basically tracking anything? First, the relaunch of it doesn't really make any sense. To me, I think it's more or less maybe somebody just needs to be on the media, somebody just needs to do something, somebody needs to just be seen active and all of that. When you look at the government itself, basically the key policies that have been unrolled, you would realize that it's not just an error, but it's deliberate. As far as every indices of development is concerned, the masses, the people are already choked. You understand what I'm saying? We are choked such that you are left actually wondering, what are you trying to track? What are you trying to mark? What feedback basically are you looking for? So it just doesn't, I don't know how to assess it as far as the reality of the country is concerned, especially economical, and then especially looking at whatever it is you may measure as the performance of any ministry, any department, any agency whatsoever. I do not exactly know why that relaunch is coming. It's pretty much just a creation of something needs to just happen. Somebody needs to just appear, busy doing something and all of that. But exactly what we hope to track or whatsoever, I do not really know where that's coming from. So it's just, I feel, to the best of my ability, as far as the reality of the country is concerned, it's a baseless, development. I don't know what that means, basically.
Well, just to chip in there, Mr. Yusuf, we understand that we've seen reports also from Ghana, and they are also set to launch similar thing, but in this case for government infrastructure project. And this is for their citizens to monitor transparency as well as accountability of how this project, fare along the line. Now, coming back to Nigeria, you've rightly pointed out the shortcomings of this initiative. What alternative would you recommend as a means to measuring performances, key performances, performance indicators for our ministers or for those in government?
No, of a truth, when you mention places like Ghana, for particularly any government that is actually set, determined to, especially in the aspect of infrastructure, I'm not basically ignorant of what that should do, the tracker, basically to get the feedback, to measure how much success or otherwise, unrolling or implementing all of those projects is concerned. I'm pretty much aware of it. But there is a situation we are faced with in Nigeria, and we cannot pretend about it, basically. And that's why I'm saying it's especially what that tracker means to the reality in the Federal Republic of Nigeria is what basically I haven't been able to, reconcile. Now, I think in Nigeria, the focus shouldn't completely be, as at now, it's not about infrastructure and certain other things. The situation we are in is just so basic, so fundamental, and what it requires is a reversal of very, very, I would call them satanic policies, because when you take power by whatever means necessary, and the first things you are unrolling are things that choke the people that have basically barely survived, their daily living. And then you begin to talk about, rolling markers and all of that. We know quite well. So it's more or less, what did you do with the 100 naira you were given? And then you are setting parameters in place to check what you would do with 1 billion. It basically doesn't make sense. So I think to begin with, it's quite important that the masses will need to be alive and active and sane enough to give you any feedbacks. But a situation where people are dying, stampeding themselves, collecting 2, 3, 4 tins of rice and certain dishes. It just doesn't. I'm just trying to be realistic, basically, so that it doesn't look as if we don't wish the country well or we don't see anything positive coming out in the country. So I think it will start by positioning the masses in a place where they should be able to have their eyes open to be able to see whether there is good road here, whether the hospitals are functioning, whether infrastructure, whether in the rural areas or in the urban areas, make any sense to begin to say there is this performance here or there. But people are basically trying to survive and all of that. So when other nations begin to measure what they do, their infrastructural development with such trackers, I do not really think that is what should be the focus in Nigeria. So the alternative is basically reverse this devilish policies first and let people begin to feel alive, and then we could move to the next.
Just to follow up on that, your line of thought, you talked about the masses being alive first and active, to be able to assess, all of the dividends of democracy in Nigeria. What would you say are the most pressing issues in Nigeria for an average Nigerian?
Well, the most pressing issue, first of all, when this regime came in, something that has never happened. You just woke up in the morning with one single pronouncement, and I think from what people could get for, I think 160, 170, and all of that went now itself for about 600 and 50, 660, and 700 in certain places per liter of fuel, and that has shut down quite a number of small businesses. They don't survive, basically. So those people who could easily survive doing certain things have become beggars. I can assure you a lot of Nigerians have become beggars, not because they don't have the pride to work, they don't have the energy to work, but because that move alone has choked every aspect of the economy, especially those small and medium-scale businesses.
I'm afraid that's the most we can take.
Where you would
I'm afraid that's the most we can take on the news for this edition. Thank you so much for your expertise. Zariye Yusuf, National Coordinator, Middle Belt Patriot. Thank you for your insights.